Oh,
Everyone to the 19th Annual Buffalo International Film Festival. I am Anna Schmay, the Executive Director, and I'm joined here by three amazing guests from one of my absolute favorite films that I haven't seen yet in the festival. We have a very, very, very special presentation, and I think that's the language we're using too, tonight, of The Panic, an incredible film that was shot here all over Western New York. Before we start, though, I just want to briefly acknowledge where we are. This is Haudenosaunee land, it's Seneca land, and for all of us here, we're grateful to be in community together, to be here at beautiful Buffalo Toronto Public Media with my wonderful board member, Catherine Larson, some other friendly faces in the audience. So yes, Nyawe. I will let them kind of introduce themselves and speak a little bit about their role in the film. But we have with us Anastasia, Dan, and Cristiana, who is our patron saint of the Buffalo International Film Festival. You might recognize her from last year, and you might also, again, recognize her in the future, or at least we hope so. So thank you all for being here. Yeah, I don't know if, Christiana, you're used to this chaos. Do you want to start?
Why not? I mean, I feel at home here, so I'm here again at the festival for the second time in Buffalo for a few now. There's people who are actually suggesting I should get a house here, which is not a bad idea. I play Bella de Cos Green in this amazing movie, and although it's not a huge role in the story, it's a key one considering she was JP Morgan's personal librarian. And she was also an extremely successful woman for that time. She was independent economically and intellectually. So it was kind of a great experience, actually, to be able to portray her, because it's not a role that happens often, I would say. So I have to thank Dan for the chance to play her.
oh, well,
That's
then I have to
wonderful.
thank you right back because you did an amazing job, as both of you. I hope everyone gets to see it tonight. I'm Dan Adams. I directed and wrote the script and so on and so forth.
And
I
edited
also
and
ended up
produced.
editing the film. So, it's a film. If you don't know about it or you haven't looked it up, it's set in 1907 in New York City, and in Buffalo. We shot it all here in Buffalo, and we made Buffalo look like 1907 Manhattan, and it centers around the Panic of 1907, which is a very historic time that no one really knows about. Where the country was about to melt down financially, and J.P. Morgan came in and saved the day, but he also blackmailed the President of the United States at the same time. But the guy who caused it was this guy, Charles Barney. So Cary Elwes plays Charles Barney. Colm Meaney plays J.P. Morgan. We have Malcolm McDowell, who plays Stanford White, who was sort of the Jeffrey Epstein of his day. No, it's true. And, Tim Daly and Justin Chatwin, they're all in it. And then, of course, these two incredible actresses that are flanking me here. And this is Anastasia Mitrunen, who plays Charles Barney's wife, but she can tell you more than me.
Yes, I play Lily Barney. And when I started to prepare for this role, it's not that much you can find about her, even though she is a real person. The most things I could find is about who she married, who was her father. It's all about men. So back in the days, women were not allowed to vote. They were not allowed to work. They were limited in so many different things. But she was so dedicated to get what she wants. She used her husband in so many ways. So that's what I built her on and the obsession and all of that. It was just such a layered, complex character that Dan beautifully wrote. So it was an extreme pleasure to work and to develop this character.
Oh, thank you. I can tell a little bit from your answers and being familiar with Cristiana's process a little bit. Do you two mind speaking a bit about how you get into these characters where there is so little information? I can tell both of you do your homework. You do a ton of research. You're very timely, which is admirable.
Yeah, I just say action and cut, and these guys, they do all the work, you know. They wake me up when they're done.
Maybe it was a bit luckier because she's Bella DeCoste Green is actually famous for what she stood for, and at the time when she was alive, as much as later on throughout history, all the way to us today. So we know who she was because of that independence. So I did have material that I could get. I always start, obviously for obvious reasons, I always start from the script, which, let me pay another compliment to this man here, but he's an amazing writer. So it's very rare to just see something that just immediately comes off the page. Sometimes as an actor, you just think, oh, this scene probably would be richer if I do this, if I do that, if the other actor does that, blah, blah. But in this particular case, it was easy to just see the film on page. So that was a good starting point. It was already, a lot was already there. But I also was lucky to live nearby in Florence, nearby the museum that still holds all the letters that she wrote to, and again letters, because I do remember speaking about letters when I prepared Cabrini, but that's another story. But I did find the letters that she wrote to one of her lovers. She had several. And they were there. They were kept there. In fact, right before the museum had to lend the letters to, I think it was the Met Museum later on in New York. That was back in, when did we shoot the film? 2024?
It's all a blur.
3?
No, last year.
Last year,
Yeah, last
right?
year, yeah.
Okay, last
24.
year. 2024.
What year is it? It's 25.
2025. It's the end of 2025.
Or 1885. I'm not entirely sure anymore.
Yeah, right. Sometimes I
We're
think,
there.
we're time travelers, but go ahead.
But they had pictures of her, all the love letters. I remember spending hours. They let me use it for hours, and I remember trying to mimic her handwriting just to get a feel of I don't know, maybe the movement of her hand, anything that could inspire me really. And so that was that. I took pictures. I don't know if I was allowed, but I did it anyway.
We won't tell. No one will hear this.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
Well, now it's out there. It's public. So, but yeah. So I had that, which was amazing. It was a great gift, and biographies that were written about her. My favorite one was the Illuminated Life, and that was a chunk like this big that I had to go through, because obviously, even though we were just focusing on one particular moment of the American history, because that's what the film is really about. It's about a tragedy that is embodied by people, but it's an entire nation. I still had to get elements from her entire narrative and the arch of her life, rather than just what happened in the movie, for me to get a feeling, a sense of what kind of woman she was. And she was incredible. Oh, wow. Incredible. The one thing that obviously stands out is that she was actually African American, and she decided to pass as a white woman and adopted the name DaCosta Green, pretending to be of Portuguese origins. I remember one chapter in An Illuminated Life that put two women, one against the other, well, rather one side by side, not against. I don't like that phrasing. And the author describes them as exactly identical. Same skin color, same eyes, same hair, same portament, everything. Only you couldn't tell. But only the only difference was that one was African, the other one was Italian. This thing stayed with me because it felt not only the resemblance wasn't only physical. I am sure from the history that we all know that the conditions they had to endure at the time were also very similar. So these elements were, for me, fundamental. A woman that wants to pass as a white one, and me being Italian and knowing what it feels like to be an immigrant, and trying to make it in a nation like the United States at the time, it resonated quite quickly. It was a really good starting point and really good elements that I brought into the film, the work. And the last thing, more technical thing that I probably would mention is the accent. I had to learn. We all had to learn. We did it for sure. I remember exchanging books and notions about the Mid-Atlantic accent, and I remember watching all the Betty Davies movies that I could possibly see before shooting. That my trigger line was. It was, oh my gosh, now the name of the film, oh my gosh, it's such a famous black and white film. But anyway, Betty Davies says, one of her lines is...
Buckle.
No, fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy night. And that's how I started, getting into the mood of the accent and what it felt like to speak with a Mid-Atlantic accent at that time.
I love that. Of course, so much research, and thank you. That's amazing. I appreciate you doing that. I wouldn't have had the gall to ask you to perform like that as you're speaking. So,
what was the film, though?
Yeah.
Thank you so
All
much.
About Eve,
All
yeah.
About Eve. Yes.
Oh, yes.
With all these
What a
cinephiles,
great
I really
film.
get
What a
that.
great film. Thank you.
Yeah. Anastasia, what about you? Can you-
Cristiana and I actually rehearsed our scene at my place while cooking Italian meal.
Vegan, by the way.
She was teaching me how to cook a proper pasta because obviously I'm not that good, and she's with her Italian genes. She was like, "Oh my God, I can't stand the way how I was cooking the pasta." But yeah, we were rehearsing our lines while cooking. When it comes to start the character, obviously I go from the script and I would look at the scene and think, what is the obvious choice? What is the obvious emotion you would to play that particular scene? And then I would go with the opposite, or add different layers to it. Because we as humans, we are so complex. We are not just anger. Anger comes from some other place. Maybe it's sadness. And you just play sadness, and there's anger will come out somewhere from different part of your body. And yes, and the accent actually helped a lot to get inside her body, because it's a different way of expressing yourself. And when I went back with my research, I was thinking, like, where she came from? Why is she so driven by high society? Why is it so important to her? So I had to create a backstory. What happened to her back when she was a child? Why is she so needy to get to the highest, the top of the tops, and it's never enough, and she will never stop till she gets there. Even when she will get there, it's still something will be missing. So I created some moments of her life when she was a child, who she met, like who were her parents, how they were treating her, what were the triggers that later on would just drive her crazy, and where's the arc? How she looked at the beginning and what she transformed into at the very end. And I hope audience will appreciate what's going to happen.
I do. I love this kind of almost opposite balance, but the same sort of reality where the women of this time had to perform an identity to be able to exist. But there's a real human underneath that.
Yeah.
I would be curious to know who you created, and also to read up and do a little more research. Thank you for pointing that out, Cristiana, and I'd love to see the letters. I'm curious who you created for, a spin-off of your character. Maybe there's a writer in the room or a few, and if anyone has a question online or here in person, please raise your hand, or someone on staff check online, and we'll try and feed that in as well.
Dan, did you do as much back work on creating the character's dialogue as Cristiana Anastasia mentions?
Well, first of all, now you know why these two
Yeah.
actresses are incredible. And when you see the film, their performances are amazing. I did a lot of research regarding the era, and a lot about the sort of the zeitgeist of the time, and then it just sort of fell into place. Like when you're writing a script, at least when I'm writing a script, I imagine myself as all the characters, and then I put myself. So in a way, I'm sort of doing the same sort of research, not to the extent that actors do, but I put myself in in that mindset of the character, and then the dialogue just flows out. And then, but I'm switching back from character to character. So this character says something, and then it's like, okay, now I'm this character, and I just go
He's
back
like a
and
chess
forth.
player that plays himself, and he's amazing at it.
Well, so yeah. It just and I did a ton of research first, obviously, on all the characters, especially Belle. And there, as you said, there wasn't much about Lily, but there's a little museum on Long Island,
Yeah.
and they have a whole section on Lily Barney. So that was, but that was helpful, but not really. So I kind of had to extrapolate quite a bit, as if I'm writing a film which I've done many times as well, just characters that just don't exist, but are figments of my warped imagination. But
Yeah, along those lines, I'd love to hear about what you think about historical accuracy and like when you can bend that for a good story, because sometimes history provides the drama for us. Like you mentioned Stanford White, the story of his death and everything that led up to that is like so crazy.
Yeah.
But how do you balance like talking about real events in history, but also getting it into a story that feels good in a runtime of 2 hours?
The short answer is I don't. I'm not a documentary filmmaker, because that's a whole different field. And if I wanted to recreate, do a docudrama that recreates the actual events and actual facts, then I could. That's a whole different profession. But I try to create art, and art is, basically the best definition I've ever come up with is that to shed a work of art sheds new light on the human condition. Picasso, I think he said art is not the truth. Art is a lie that exposes the truth. And so we're always trying to get to the truth, but we're doing it by creating fictional situations. So if I'm trying to if you're trying to create a work of art, I like the idea that it was sort of based on a true story. But when you come right down to it, who knows the dialogue between Lily and her husband Charles, or between Morgan and Belle DeCosta Green? No, so I'm making that up. So if that's inaccurate, or it's an extrapolation or something, then I can also play with the the actual events, so that because I'm not making a documentary, I'm creating a drama that will, you know, that, and because my intention especially at this film is you know, to get to the essence of the one theme that runs through it is delusion, and the fact that how delusion is sort of the downfall of humanity. You know, I mean, this character that Anastasia plays is deluded into thinking that there's some, you know, Valhalla. You know, if she becomes the top of society or whatever, it's a delusion. Belle DaCosta Green, the victim of a delusion. You know, the fact, because she was one of the most revered, most respected women of her time, and she put together, Belle DaCosta Green put together one of the greatest collections of art and artifacts in the world, and to this day, the Morgan Library is an incredible place.
She made it public.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. And she's considered the greatest librarian of all time, and so forth. So, but if she was a member of high society, if they knew that of her ethnic origin, she never would have been able to do that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's a delusion, right? It's an absurdity. She was a brilliant woman. Who cares what her ethnicity was? But that was part of the time. So, you know, and again, you know, art is supposed to, we're supposed to be commenting on current, you know, events and our current situation in the world. And the reason why I do a lot of period pieces is because it's a much more palatable way of saying something without hitting people over the head with it, the way a documentary would do or something. And you know, like there's, you know, for example, recently a movie came out last year called The Apprentice, and it just hits you over the head with, and people, and you're basically, whether you like the subject matter or didn't like the subject matter, the main character, I mean, it alienated people. And why alienate people when you can say the same thing by bringing people into a story that they're not emotionally attached to, and bring them into it emotionally, and then have them be open, have an open mind, as opposed to coming into a film where it's like I already have an opinion one way or the other. To me, that's not as effective a work of art as something that can appeal to everyone, and then present a point of view that people, you know, take people on an emotional roller coaster, really, in a film. So yeah, I start with this film in particular, and I've done it in other films where I take a particular event or a particular set of circumstances that happened in the past, and then I don't necessarily stick to actual events. If people are looking for a completely accurate description of what happened in the Panic of 1907, then there are plenty of documentaries. But this isn't. So this is a drama. So I hope that answers your question.
I have a quick follow-up, and then our friend here will ask a question. What do you think drew you to producing this particular story right now? Like, why the Panic of 1907? Do you feel like it's again somehow a story that we could be, you know, looking through a different lens at our own time through?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point, really. You know, I don't know. I mean, the idea that you know, that there may be just a few group of, you know, elite oligarchs that want to manipulate society for their own benefit. You know, that might that might have a little
Something to do with it.
something to do with what's going on in the world today, and besides that, but you know, a great film to me, yeah, that there are levels of it, just like these guys create different levels of emotion when they're creating a character. There are different levels to a film, and one of them is especially you know, where the movies are social realism basically, and you know, one is sort of that political side of it, which is pretty obvious, and that's one layer. But then you go a little deeper, and it's okay. What are the motivations of these characters to want to be that person, to manipulate, I mean, what drives them to do it, and because that's really the fascinating part of it. You know, I mean, yeah, we can make political speeches and say, you know, this is wrong or that's wrong, but what drives people to actually do this horrendous behavior? And you know, that's on another level. You know, I hopefully am commenting on human behavior and human condition, and how that behavior can be you know, detrimental to society as a whole and whatever. But I mean, the idea is a film. You know, you bring people on an emotional ride, and you walk out of the film, hopefully with a visceral feeling, and then any good film after that, it makes you reflect on it, and then you create the intellectual process from that visceral process, and so then you start to think, and hopefully a good film stays with you for a while, and then you've been exposed to something that you necessarily wouldn't have been exposed to, and you learn and hopefully become, you know, a better equipped at looking at the world and how things really are. So.
All right. Forgive me if this has been asked already. I walked in halfway through. I was just curious to wonder if what was some of the benefits or unforeseen issues or anything like that filming in Buffalo brought to you guys? What was the best parts? What were some of the worst parts? What's something that was unexpected to all you guys working, filming, and I guess living in Buffalo for several weeks?
I love it. I've filmed already 2 things here, so I love it. It's great. It's absolutely wonderful. This town just is home for me. So I had an amazing time. Nothing unforeseen that could surprise me in a bad way, only in good ways. Making friends. I see people that I see all the time. So for me, great experience. Twice.
I would say the architecture. All the places that we shot in, it was just amazing. The house, the Stanford White designed, and locations were just fantastic. It's very period-like.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. We didn't know it. We were shooting the Barney home, the new home that they were moving into in the movie, and we shot in this the Butler Mansion, and we walk, and one of the scenes is Stanford White saying, "I'm going to do this to this house, and I'm going to do that," and the Barneys go, you know, and you'll see it. It's in the first act of the film, and we walk down the hallway, and there are all these original architectural plans drawn by Stanford White. He
So we didn't have
designed the
to
house.
act.
And
It was just
like,
there.
that was bizarre. But to answer your question, you know, I've been directing now movies for 35 years, and this was one of the best experiences I've ever had in Buffalo. I mean, it was, I mean, the people are amazing, friendly, welcoming. The film commission is the best I've ever worked with. Tim It was great, and you know, it was just that was great, and it was funny because we walked into some of these locations, and with the art department. Oh, that's the other thing. The crew was fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, it was you know, bar none, some of the best crew people I've ever worked with, and so you know, we'd walk into a location and with the art department and props and everybody, and we'd look around and we go, oh, it's dressed. You know, we don't have to do much because the architecture was amazing,
Yeah.
and it's right from that era. You know, a lot of the buildings frozen in time, which you know, I grew up in Boston, so I'm used to that type of architecture. But it's amazing how even in Boston some of the architecture's been bastardized, but here it's been preserved. It's really amazing. And then to answer your, no one answered, like, what was the worst thing? All three of us up here are vegans.
Oh yeah.
So
didn't
finding
wanna
vegan
mention-
food, if there's
Impossible.
any restaurateurs listening,
It's
more
hard.
vegan options on
There's just-
menus. Other than that, everything was great.
There's a
But
couple of wing places that sell cauliflower wings.
yeah, well, believe me, we've checked them all out.
Yeah, but that's
Checked them
for
every-
3 weeks. That's not nearly enough.
Well, we do have, Gadara has some great food that's vegan, so do some of our other restaurants in the city, Little Club, but yeah, no, it's usually salad or rice or french
Yeah.
fries.
But that's the
I would
case with
say.
every city, actually. You gotta hunt it down.
What season were you here?
June.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Warm.
That's
May,
perfect.
May and June
That was warm.
and part of July. Yeah.
Very warm.
It's very warm in those clothes.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
Costume.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the costumes and what that
So
was
many
like? How
layers.
did you yeah.
I loved it. Whenever you do period, it's always great fun. It's a huge transformation, obviously. So it immediately gives you a sense of what it's going to be like, and the heavy clothes that you're wearing. And I mean, especially for a woman to be wearing those corsets and heavy clothes, is already, metaphorically speaking, is already something that helps you get into the mood of how heavy and difficult it was to be a woman at that time. Not that it's not nowadays, it's still very hard. But yeah, that helps you, gives you an element. It's like having a stick or something that you can rely on. There's always the costume. I always use it, especially hats. Hats for me are, they do it. I wore amazing costumes, so I was lucky. I had a few. You too, as well. You had, especially for the ball. That was
Right,
that was
yes.
glorious. We had. It's fun. It's great fun.
Your hats were, you know,
Amazing.
and just because editing the film and
Huge.
seeing these hats constantly, I mean, well, you'll see it.
Yeah, I loved the hats, not just because I love hats in general, but for this particular period, they kind of remind me, because for women, to me, they have a different meaning. It's the top, it's the maximum level you can achieve. I always interpret it that way. It's not that. I know it's not. It's just it's something that I wanted to think. You know, as women, that's the maximum you can reach. You should stop there. So to me, that was a sort of like identity thing, of course, but also I can't go any further than this. How can I break the roof and go beyond what I'm allowed? So it was a reminder for me.
I mean, that is definitely true with, especially with costumes, and the apparel is your status. Makes a big difference in that. Who did the costumes and where did they come from? You remember?
She was an amazing costumer.
Aliana.
Aliana.
Oh, great.
Aliana Gallen, yeah. She's from New York.
Wow.
Not necessarily Buffalo, but her whole crew was from here. And
She was so good.
Yeah, she was amazing. Again, just the crews here were incredible. So, but you, I don't know if you want to.
I mean, Cristiana has already said most of it. The corsets, it just helps you to be that. You know, it's just a given. And you know, all these beautiful, beautiful dresses. It just gives you kind of a different mood every time. Depends on what kind of color she chose, what kind of hats and gloves, no gloves, and all of that. So it's just a big plus when you are playing a character like that.
Yeah.
Both of the ladies playing a historical character versus not a historical character. How much is that a challenge as opposed to an aid?
It's always a challenge. It's always a challenge, I think. There's pros and cons in both situations, because if it's historical, then I always feel the responsibility to be truthful to the character as much as I can, but I will always leave some space for my own imagination and interpretation of what the character stands for, what it means in the story, in the balance of the story, and also in relation to what I want to say. Because I always feel a character is also a vehicle for me to send my own message as an interpreter, as an actor, as a thinking woman. I love to think that I can speak through my characters within the story, within the vision of the director, but still having a little bit of space left for myself to say what I think. So if it's historical, it would be this kind of balance that I have to always check. But if it's completely fictional, then obviously there's so much.
More fictional?
A fictional cat that I played.
Yeah.
A mafia boss in Gomorrah the series that's based on true characters, but true people, but completely fictional, and that gave me entire freedom to think, to build a person from scratch, and then put all my desires, all my voice in it, according obviously to what was written on the page. So that gives you freedom, but it's also, you're playing with a completely different material there, and the risk of getting lost in it is much bigger. But it's hard to say. It's always, as an actor, it's always difficult. Whenever you see a character, say, "Oh my God, what am I going to do now?" So it's never easy, but yeah.
Well, I had a little bit more freedom, even though there's a museum, but it's not highly publicized, so not that many people know about Lily Barney. So I had lots of freedom to play this historical character. But, at the end of the day, they're all humans. And you're just playing a human being and project their needs. Yeah.
And fill it with your own experiences and your own emotional understanding of reality, too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Characters in your world.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, because have either of you seen a late cut of the film? Cristiana,
I haven't.
Okay, so this is exciting for all of us.
Yeah.
What, having filmed it, and Dan, I know you filmed it and edited it and wrote it and really did a lot of work with a huge group of talented people, of course. But what are you all kind of most excited to see? Which scene do you remember shooting or even editing that you haven't seen it on a big screen yet? What are you most excited to see come to life? Like, what should us viewers be kind of like waiting for? And I heard ballroom scenes. I know there's some very dramatic scenes from the scanning and film stills that I've seen. Like, I'm just curious, like living in your own mind with it. Like, yeah.
I'm curious to see it just on this theater. The North Park Theater looks like an incredible venue, and so and I think the sound system is upgraded and everything. Yeah. So actually we mixed it, and I've heard the in a really small room. I heard the 5.1 surround mix, but not in a big venue like where it's going to be screened tonight. And it's so that I'm you know I've seen it a million times, but I'm excited to hear it tonight. So, and of course see how people react to it. So there's going to be a Q&A afterwards. So so hopefully people can we'll get some sort of reaction. By the way, I don't think I mentioned. So I literally just finished the film 3 days ago. The distributor has not seen it yet. The movie doesn't get released until the spring. They don't have they haven't even set a date yet, and so I just, because Buffalo has been so amazing to us, I wanted to make sure that Buffalo was you guys were the first humans to see it, because and so I was saying earlier that the distributor emailed me yesterday and was like, well, can we see the cut that you're screening in Buffalo? And I'm like, nope. It's gonna, after Buffalo sees it, then you guys, maybe, if you're good, you can see it. So, so hopefully people come out, because otherwise the next time they'll be able to see this film will be in the spring of next year.
Well, North Park is kind of a period piece. It was built in 1920.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that too. I love theaters like that.
Actually, it's older than that. It's 105 years old, right? Oh, I guess that's 120.
Yeah.
But the Relief somehow is older than that, I think.
Mm.
'Cause it was Pan Am era painter that made it. The
Wow.
ceiling.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Doesn't look like AMC.
Not quite.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Mhm. Yeah. So it sounds like you're very excited to hear it.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of like the last of the finishing touches was kind of like getting the score really ready, and
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Cristiana, Anastasia, do you have a?
I want to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. There's monologues that J.P. Morgan, Colm has to perform as J.P. Morgan that I really want to see live, or alive. I don't know which one of the two. Because I remember as I was reading it the first time, I just immediately loved it, and when it was written with such wit and elegance that I want to see how, especially J.P. Morgan's character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had most of the time I spent with Colm working, and so I want to see how that came about. But I'm interested. Well, I'm interested to see that especially. How about you?
I just want to see how it all came together. It's going to be interesting on the
Yeah.
big screen, especially.
Yeah.
If I'm still in there in the movie.
Yeah, both you guys were cut. Sorry.
We were both cut. No women in this film.
Cutting room floor. Yeah.
There were so many men.
Yeah. Yes.
But it was fun.
Sorry, I forgot to mention.
Oops. But I love how often this question comes about of how you balance historical facts and truthfulness to and the dramatic the dramatization of a story, because I always wonder where it comes from. So I actually have a question for you, and what makes you ask that question?
Love you.
I guess I was just I don't know, because I think I mean, I'm into history and I like to watch a lot of period dramas and stuff, and
Cool.
it's just always like I'm not someone who like tries to like investigate and call out people who aren't accurate, but it's always fascinating to me the choices that filmmakers and performers make to condense everything into a compelling story, because there are times where it influences, like, it can become if a movie that is based in history becomes very popular, then it can kind of influence the public perception of those historical events.
Thank you. That's exactly where I wanted to get to. Because there's this perception of movies as something you learn from historically. And that's wrong. Because that's not where you get your history from.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. Never.
Indiana Jones isn't a documentary?
Say that again?
Indiana Jones isn't a documentary?
Oh, I knew it was. Sorry. Oh, now you've broken a dream for me. But no, that's exactly my point, because people tend to think that they will get an educational result of specific facts, but it's not. It's an interpretation. So what the dramatization of historical events will do is what you would probably. It's interesting that you're interested in history, because you would know exactly how things went. But the fact that something that has happened way before or way after what the story tells, but it's still in the movie, will be a way for you to do what you would do, putting those things together once you know them all, and go, oh, how did we get from A to B, or why did this thing happen? And it's interesting to probably confront that, your perception of why things went the way they went, with the interpretation of the story. So it's a learning curve, and it's a learning process in that sense, not in the sense that things happened in that specific moment, or after 10 years, or whenever, and they're all condensed in the film. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, and I think it also it speaks to the importance of resources like the Morgan Library, and how important it is to have open access to information, because with history, there's no one objective historical truth or narrative. It's all about how we interpret the records and what's been preserved. And like you mentioned during the panel, you all mentioned Buffalo's, how so many historical things are preserved, but the fact is there's also a lot that has been lost. Especially, me and Anna, we were talking the other day about film history. Buffalo's home to the first purpose-built movie theater, and you wouldn't know it unless you were like really into film.
There you go.
We had the first movie star ever lived in Buffalo for a little while. I had to dig to find any information about that. So I think you're making me think about how important it is to have information be available, and so we can all arrive at our own interpretations of history.
Absolutely. I mean, and elements will always come to surface eventually, and new things will be discovered. Like I was reading this article the other day when they realized that actually so many of the bodies from prehistorical eras or whenever they were found, they thought they were hunters, they were men, but actually they found out they might have been women. So new elements will always come and inform history. Which is why the way you interpret the story, which is what movie making is, what telling a story is, what a play is, what a painting is, it's interpreting those facts, is really for. And it's always this thing, it's a very modern, contemporary thing we do, that we think we're going to learn facts from films, and that's wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, in defense of filmmakers, I always hate it when like someone, like a friend or someone I know, they go to see a film that's an historical film, and they go, oh, well, that didn't happen that way, or that was inaccurate, and I'm like, well, you don't get it. You know, it's not a documentary. If you want a documentary, go see a documentary. But and I think maybe it's part of our educational system where we don't really teach what art is. And everyone has their own, like I've talked to people and they go, art is just beauty, and it's like, no, it's not. It's
That's aesthetics.
I mean, unless you think truth is beauty, then yeah, okay. But I mean, artists and scientists basically have the same job, which is we're trying to figure out how the world works, and and interpreting it. And it's the same profession. We could just go about it differently, and we express it differently. But that's it. So we're doing that. So it's not necessarily so doing. If you're trying to create a work of art, then historical accuracy is not important. What's important is to bring across the essential idea that you're trying to have people experience. And so we maybe, there's a just we have to teach people what art is, and the problem is because Hollywood is so commercial and horrible that there's no line between this is a work of art and this is a piece of junk that is meant to just sell tickets and bring you on a roller coaster ride, and this is and so there's no difference between Guardians of the Galaxy and a Martin Scorsese movie. I mean, it's all, everyone just thinks it's entertainment, and yeah, it should be entertaining. It should hold your attention, but one thing is really trying to get at the truth of the essence of human nature, and the other thing is just trying to occupy your time and take your money. So and the society doesn't delineate, and that's the problem, I think, because we don't teach what art really is in school, in my opinion. So,
the kids aren't looking at Duchamp's fountain and debating whether or not that ready-made is indeed art, as they did in the salon probably 3 years after in Long Island near the museum, right?
There should be at least some sort of awareness, some sort of awareness.
Well, we love that here. We have a very rich history of conceptual art, experimental art, media art makers, people like Tony Conrad, Stena, and Woody Basolka, who started the kitchen. Robert Longo, Cindy Sherman started Hallwalls, one of our venues, which we have staff from here as well.
You also had, and you recently lost this person who was also a dear friend of mine, whom I met when we shot Cabrini, Gary White. I heard he passed away, and I think his shop is a form of art that should be preserved. So whatever happens to that shop, please let's try to I couldn't do it.
Well, you're moving here, right?
Yeah,
so you'll
try to keep it, and because that could also be a museum of some kind of art, because those hats are not just historically very important. He made hats for all sorts of Hollywood stars and movies. I mean, The Untouchables. Andy Garcia's hat is in that shop. Oh, wow. So you should preserve that. And I know it's a little bit, I'm diverting a little bit from what we were talking about, but art makes me think of him, and I just grab the occasion to say, keep the shop as it is. Let people visit it. It's great.
Well, I think that might unfortunately be a good place to end, because we're already at 4:10, and hats off to you for the callback, as they say in another entertainment business. And thank you to our amazing audience. Thank you to our amazing venue. And most of all, thank you to our brilliant guests. You're all amazing, and I can't wait to see this film tonight. I'm super excited. I think it's the only one I'll actually get to watch during the fest. So, yeah, and thank you all for your great questions, too.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.